Hello again, and thanks for joining me as I read A School Story by Andrew Clements. I will now read Chapter 2, and its title, A Portrait of the Author as a Young Girl. Some people are writers, and some people are talkers. Natalie has always been a writer. Like all writers, first she was a reader. As a baby, and then a toddler, Natalie loved it when her mom or dad read to her. She loved how the same story would change, depending on who was reading it. Mom read calmly, evenly, thoughtfully. Even if the story was exciting or scary or sad, Natalie always felt warm and safe when her mom was reading. But not with Dad. He was loud and reckless. He made funny voices for all the firemen and ducks and princesses. He made sound effects for the trains and the caterpillars, and if the words weren't exciting or silly or scary enough, he threw in some new ones. When Dad was reading, anything could happen. And so Natalie got her first taste of reading in the very best way, from people who loved good books almost as much as they loved her. By the time she was 4, Natalie couldn't wait any longer. She wanted more stories than her parents had time to read to her. She already knew her ABCs, and she made her mom and dad point at every word as they read to her. Then Natalie would sit and turn the pages of her picture books again and again. She started being able to see the words and hear the sounds they made, and once she began to crack the code, there was no stopping her. Natalie became a reader. Even after Natalie could read by herself, her mom and dad read stories to her at bedtime. Dad one night, and Mom the next. Natalie always got to choose a story from her shelf of favorites. The car crash changed all that. Natalie was in 2nd grade, and after the accident, there was only Mom to read at bedtime. And that was when Natalie hid some of her favorite books in the back of her closet. She didn't want her mom to read them anymore. Those were Daddy's books. Sometimes late at night, or on a quiet Sunday afternoon, Natalie would open up the Sailor Dog or the Grouchy Ladybug, and she could hear her father's voice reading to her. The writing part came gradually, naturally. At first it was imitation. If Natalie read a good book, she tried to make up one like it. If a character grabbed her imagination, Natalie would talk to her stuffed animals and pretend she was the Sailor Dog, or the Steadfast Tin Soldier, or Raggedy Ann. She would act out parts of a story and make up words for everything to say. Sometimes she pretended to be Gretel, helping Hansel push the Wicked Witch into the oven. Other times, she pretended to be the Wicked Witch. And always, Natalie thought about the authors. She thought about Hans Christian Andersen, or Margaret Wise Brown, or Beatrix Potter, and she imagined these people sitting in a garden, or a cabin, or an attic, making up new stories. And she knew that one day she would sit down in a garden, or a cabin, or an attic, and try it out for herself. When Natalie got to 4th grade, she began to spend more time writing. She made herself a little writing place in the back corner of the loft that she and her mom had moved to. Her desk was a door laid flat across 2 small filing cabinets. She sat in her dad's old red desk chair and used his old Macintosh computer. Not quite a cabin or an attic, but close enough. And it was as close as Natalie could get to her dad. This concludes Chapter 2 of A School Story by Andrew Clements. Thank you so much for joining me again as I read to you, and I hope you're enjoying our reading together. I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.